Be clear, from the river to the sea, as someone who's Jewish, means to exterminate my people. I understand that my colleague, the gentlelady from Michigan, thinks that this is some kind of aspirational message. It's a joke.
I have said to Ms. Tlaib myself that the phrase from the river to the sea is abhorrent to me, but I would never think of punishing her or disciplining her because we disagree about that.
On November 7, 2023, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to censor Rashida Tlaib, a Democratic congresswoman from Michigan and the only Palestinian American in Congress, over her remarks and actions in response to the Israel-Hamas war. The censure resolution was authored by Republican Representative Mitch McCormick of Georgia and passed 234 to 188, with 22 Democrats voting for it and 4 Republicans opposing the measure. The resolution censored Tlaib for promoting false narratives regarding the October 7, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel and for calling for the destruction of the State of Israel.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Clause 2A1 of Rule 9, I rise to give notice of my intent to raise a question of privileges of the House. The form of the resolution is as follows. H.R. 845, censuring Representative Rashida Tlaib for promoting false narratives regarding the October 7, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel and calling for the destruction of the State of Israel. Whereas Israel has existed on its lands for millennia, and the United States played a critical role in returning Israel to those lands in 1948, immediately following the Holocaust, and in recognition of its rights to exist as an indelible signal of our solidarity with the Jewish people. Whereas Israel is a critical ally to the American people and to our strategic national security interests in the Middle East. Whereas the people of Israel, including American citizens, were brutally attacked on October 7, 2023 by Hamas. Whereas Representative Rashida Tlaib, within 24 hours of the October 7 barbaric attack on Jewish citizens of the State of Israel, representing the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust, defended the brutal rapes, murders, beheadings, and kidnappings, including of Americans, by Hamas as justified resistance to the, quote, apartheid state.
But this wasn't the only time such a resolution was proposed against Tlaib. Previously, Marjorie Taylor Greene had announced a similar measure after witnessing Tlaib's behavior and statements concerning Gaza. Check it out.
I introduced my censure resolution just a bit ago on the House floor, censuring Rashida Tlaib. Rashida Tlaib is the most anti-Semitic, anti-American, anti-Israel member of Congress, and no member of Congress for the United States of America should hate Israel and hate America. This resolution will be voted on the House floor next week, and I encourage all my Republican colleagues and Democrats to vote to censure Rashida Tlaib.
Terrorists have cut off babies' heads and burned children alive. Do you support Israel's rights to defend themselves against this brutality?
We're just going to go through here.
You can't comment about Hamas terrorists chopping off babies' heads. Do you condone what Hamas has done, chopping off babies' heads, burning children alive, raping women in the street? You have no comment about children's heads being chopped off? Congressman, why do you have the Palestinian flag outside your office if you do not condone what Hamas terrorists have done to Israel? Do Israeli lives not matter to you?
The censure vote was triggered by a video that Tlaib posted on Twitter on November 5th, 2023, that featured protesters chanting, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," a phrase that has been used by Hamas and that Jewish groups consider an anti-Semitic call for the elimination of Israel. The video also said that President Joe Biden supported the genocide of the Palestinian people, and Tlaib herself warned Biden, "We will remember in 2024. Listen for yourself.
The American people are not with you on this one. remember in 2024.
Tlaib defended her comments and actions, arguing that she is the lone Palestinian voice in Congress and protected by free speech. She said that her criticism of the Israeli government was not anti-Semitic and that the slogan "From the River to the Sea" was an aspirational call for freedom, human rights, and peaceful coexistence, not death, destruction, or hate. However, her positions have been divided amongst Democrats who are wrestling with how to respond to the new conflict in the Middle East. Tlaib has faced increased scrutiny for her comments after the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel. So what do other Palestinians think of the slogan? Let's see what some had to say just a few years ago.
او بالاحرى هم كثير بيسمعوا بنحكي انه فلسطين رح تكون حره من النهر للبحر ان شاء الله ان شاء الله. شو يعني هذه العباره؟ ولما يصير هذا الاشي شو رح يكون النظام؟ فاولا ايش يعني؟ بعدين شو النظام رح يكون؟
ايش يعني انها تكون حرة؟
من النهر للبحر.
انها تكون حرة من دون احتلال.
That it be free without occupation.
انه احنا نكون عايشين على طبيعتنا بدون اي قيود.
That we live freely without any restraints.
ناخذ حريتنا بكل شيء سواء بالخارجات والطلعات بكل شيء.
Everything. Whether it's going in, it's going out, with everything.
Between the two sides, between the West Bank and Israel.
ما بين الضفة الغربية وإسرائيل يعني؟
لا.
ولا ايش يعني نطلع ونعبر زي ما بدنا؟
وبتمنى كمان انها فلسطين اللي هي عرب ال 48 انها نرجع احنا عادي ما مش اسرائيل لا اللي هي دولة فلسطين.
We hope that all the Palestinians and the Arabs of 1948 go back to the occupied land of 1948, not into Israel.
So meaning she means Israel doesn't exist.
هذا معناه انه من النهر للبحر ما راح تكون في اسرائيل.
لا ان شاء الله لا.
That's what it means. So she said no, we don't want it to be. So yes, that's what it means.
Okay. Nothing else. What will be the system?
شو راح يكون النظام طيب لما الإشي يروح؟
كيف يعني النظام?
Will it be Islamic? Will it be democratic?
So she just asked, what do you mean by what the system is? هل راح يكون إسلامي؟ هل راح يكون ديمقراطي؟ هل راح يكون؟
لا ديمقراطي طبعا أكيد.
Democratic,
أكيد.
for sure.
So what happens to all the Israelis?
طيب شو بيصير في كل الإسرائيليين؟
يتصرفوا حالهم يدبروا حالهم. هاي مشكلتهم.
They can't figure it out. It's their problem.
Rashida Tlaib has also been accused of spreading misinformation and propaganda about the war in Gaza, such as claiming that Israel bombed a hospital in Gaza, which was later debunked by the U.S. Department of Defense, the IDF, and the hospital itself.
You got to listen to what Tlaib said in a pro-Palestine rally just yesterday. You got to watch this. Roll it.
People think it's okay to bomb a hospital with children. You know what's so hard sometimes is watching those videos and the people telling the kids don't cry. They're like, let them cry. President Biden, not all America's with you on this one. And you need to wake up and understand that. We will remember this. You need to know. I swear to God, you are on the right side of history.
We see a very small crater. If it had been a crater
let's actually take a look at what you're discussing here. I'm going to just break this down a little bit more for folks. What I'm showing you here, this is, to be clear, provided by the IDF. This shows what looks like satellite imagery of the area where this rocket may have come down, right? This is the explosion site. They're saying that if you look over here, this is what typically you would see if there was an IDF strike, even as large as 19 meters, a much larger crater. Right. It doesn't seem like we see that here. And we also have some before and after images here. This is the hospital, the Al-Ali Hospital. This is the explosion site in this area here. And here it is after.
Yeah.
So you were just discussing the size of the crater. Some of the images are not super clear.
No.
Whether there was a crater or not. But when you look at this is up close at the cars and the site of the fire. What do you see?
Well, what I saw earlier today was a photo of a very small crater about right there. What you see in this area are a lot of burned cars. What you see over here are cars that are not burned. What you see across at this building, if you had a picture of the building, which I think we do, No, I'm sorry.
We don't have an up close of the building, but we do have these.
What we do see is pockmarks on the side of the building.
You can look at this video here, and it shows
and
some of
it
the
will show up
aftermath
here. You
on
see the burned
buildings.
car, but as the camera scans over here, you'll see cars that aren't burned.
Yeah.
Very close. So it had an effect of the explosive capability of a rocket, which is relatively small, but a lot of fuel blowing up after it that didn't burn off the rocket motor. So this is evidence of certainly not a bomb that would come off of an aircraft. You see the pockmarks, the blown out windows, but not a whole lot else. I mean, there's not a whole lot of damages to the building. Now, the doctors inside of the building said that there were patients that were injured. That could have been from the blast, glass flying inside of the building, but it certainly wasn't a strike on the hospital itself.
And just briefly, if you were to have seen a strike, a true strike coming from Israel, I want to also, just as I'm saying this, show you, this is an image that shows, according to the IDF, the trajectory of this rocket. And it comes from somewhere inside of northern Gaza, and it goes this direction. It goes east.
What you have here is something called a point of origin.
Yeah.
That's where the rocket was fired from, right where that red dot is. You see multiple tracers coming off of those. Those are the different rockets that come out of that rocket pod. The one that came out right here came out over the hospital, and I believe that that was the one that lost its engine and fell on close to the hospital, not on the hospital. So this is part of the proof that the Israeli Defense Forces gave. They said, hey, here, this is something called a Q-36 radar. They use these radars to connect with the Iron Dome to shoot down rockets. So when you see all these coming off of a missile site and one dropping over the top of a hospital, you can see where it was truthfully an accident, a missile that didn't go through to its final mission.
Yeah.
Tlaib is one of the first 2 Muslim women elected to Congress in 2018, along with Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, who has also faced censor attempts for her criticism of Israel. Tlaib and Omar are part of a progressive group known as The Squad, which also includes Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York and Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, who have expressed solidarity with Tlaib and the Palestinian cause. But previously, fellow squad member AOC warned her friends and colleagues not to allow their emotions to cloud their judgment and fact check before repeating misinformation. But this did not stop her fellow squad members from doing just that.
In a now deleted post, squad member Ilhan Omar reposted a photo of dead children that was not from the Israel-Hamas war. It wasn't even from Gaza. It was taken after a 2013 chemical weapons attack in Syria. She posted that just days after her fellow squad member AOC warned about spreading misinformation. She cautioned people to, quote, take a moment to pause and check for veracity and for confirmation from multiple sources. Well, here's something that is very real and confirmed. A bipartisan delegation of senators had to rush to a shelter when Hamas rocket fire broke out earlier in Tel Aviv. That would have been earlier today. Let's take this step by step if we could for a moment. Aisha, AOC is not wrong in the proliferation of misinformation out there on every form of media. And it's said that the first thing that dies in war is the truth.
So what do you think? Should Rashida Tlaib be censored for her actions and behavior? Does this set a bad precedent? Let me know in the comments. I'm Op-Ed Fred, and I'll see you around. Bye.